us how to live. Let your fire burn in us, that all may hear, that all may see. God is great, and His praise fills the earth, fills the heavens, and your name will be praised to all the world. God is great, sing His praise, all the earth, all the heavens, 'cause we're living for the glory of your name, the glory of your name. Holy is the Lord, the whole earth sings, the whole earth sings. Holy is the Lord, the whole earth sings, the whole earth sings. Holy is the Lord, the whole earth sings, the whole earth sings. God is great, and His praise fills the earth, fills the heavens, and your name will be praised to all the world. God is great, sing His praise, all the earth, all the heavens, 'cause we're living for the glory of your name. 'Cause we're living for the glory of your name, the glory of your name. Thanks to the Lord, our God and King. His love endures forever. For He's good, He is above all things. His love endures forever. Sing praise, sing praise. With a mighty hand and outstretched arm, His love endures forever. For the life that's been reborn, His love endures forever. Sing praise, sing praise, sing praise, sing praise. Forever God is faithful, forever God is strong, forever God is with us, forever. Forever God is faithful, forever God is strong, forever God is with us, forever, forever. From the rising to the setting sun, His love endures forever. By the grace of God we will carry on. His love endures forever. Sing praise, sing praise, sing praise, sing praise. Forever God is faithful, forever God is strong, forever God is with us, forever. Forever God is faithful, forever God is strong, forever God is with us, forever, forever.
Will you join me in prayer? Lord, you alone are the Holy One and worthy of our praise. We know we don't deserve to be in your presence, but we ask you to come and meet with us now, not according to our own goodness, but according to your grace and love. It is you we praise and adore. Amen.
As we lift up our hands, will you meet us here as we call on your name? Will you meet us here? We have come to this place to worship you, God of mercy and grace. It is you we adore. It is you. Praises are for only you. The heavens declare it is you. It is you. Holy, holy is our God Almighty. Holy, holy is His name alone. Holy, holy is our God Almighty. Holy, holy is His name alone. It is you we adore. It is you, only you. As we lift up our hands, will you meet us here as we call on your name? Will you meet us here? We have come to this place to worship you, God of mercy and grace. It is you we adore. It is you. Praises are for only you. The heavens declare it is you. It is you. Holy, holy is our God Almighty. Holy, holy is His name alone. And holy, holy is our God Almighty. And holy, holy is His name alone. As we lift up our hands, as we call on your name, will you meet us in this place by your mercy and grace? As we lift up our hands, as we call on your name, will you meet us in this place by your mercy and grace? It is you we adore. It is you, only is you. Holy, holy is our God Almighty. Holy, holy is His name alone. Holy, holy is our God Almighty. Holy, holy is His name alone. It is you we adore. It is you, only you.
Would you pray with me? Father God, we've just sung that we want you to come here and be with us, Lord. And Lord, I just pray that you would do that. Father, I just pray that your Spirit would be here today as we worship you and as we listen to your word, Lord. Father, I just pray that your Spirit would be among us and with us and in us, Lord. Father, I confess also, Lord, that sometimes we don't necessarily live that way every day, Lord. We don't necessarily want you with us all the time. We love you, Lord, but sometimes we we forget about you, and we forget about putting you first, and we forget about seeking you out, Lord. Lord, I just pray that you would forgive us for that and help us to seek you out each day. Help us to seek you out as we go about our daily lives, as we're not here in this place, as we're out in the world, Lord. Help us to seek you out and put you first. Help us to seek out your Spirit as well, Lord, that we would be willing to let your Spirit work in us and upon us, Lord, and help us to be attentive to those around us that need to know you and that need you and that need your blessing, Lord. Father God, I also pray for Pastor Dave and Jean as they are not with us today, as they are gone on vacation and working towards his retirement, Lord. And I just pray that you would bless their time away from us, and Lord, bless him and his ministry here the last few months as he works for you, and he's been such a tireless servant for you, Lord. And we just pray a blessing upon him, and thank you for bringing him to us, and thank you for allowing us to work with him the past so many years, Lord. And Lord, as we think about that, I pray that you would be with our church as we prepare ourselves for that time, that we'll be looking for someone different and someone new, Lord. And Lord, I just pray that you would guide us in that you would help us to be open to your Spirit's work, and that your Spirit would just work upon our hearts as a congregation and upon the person that you have in mind for us to shepherd this flock for the next so many years, Lord. And I just pray that you would be in that and help us as we go through that. Help us to work together and to have patience with each other and patience with the whole process. Lord, I just lift up George Goff as he is going to be leading us in worship today, Lord. Just be with him in his time he spends with us, Lord, and also be with him in Honduras when he goes back there to do his missionary work there, Lord. Just bless him, keep him safe, and Lord, as we think about him, we also think about the other missionaries of this church and just the other missionaries in this world in general. Our world is a crazy place, Lord. It's dangerous in places, and there's missionaries that are in harm's way, and I just pray that you would just protect them and be with them and help them to do their work, and just bless their work. Help them to see fruits of their labors, Lord. And Lord, in just this world in general, I just pray that you would calm things down, that you would have your way, that people would come to get along with each other better, and there would be more peace. Lord, I just lift this all up in the name of Jesus. Amen. Okay, this morning it's our privilege to have George Goff with us. He is a missionary that we support in this church, and he is he's a pilot that works in Honduras, and he will be sharing with us this morning. We welcome George. Give him a hand, please.
Can't find my Bible.
What are you looking for?
John 17, the Bible. Thank you. Good morning. It's nice to be here, not specifically here, but here with you all. As you would notice, this is not what I do. I don't preach, but I love to share what God is doing in my life with others, and that's what I like to do. But not always God keeps you and puts you in situations that are comfortable to you, but what He always wants is to do His will through us. So sometimes we have to do things that we don't like much to do, which standing in front of people. As a matter of fact, when I hear that I got to say something, I say, Lord, please don't let be too many people there. So, but I'm glad to be here. You guys have been faithful to God and the ministry that God has given to us to do, and it's always nice to come and see you and see new faces and remember some others. Of course, some of you have already walked to me and said, hey, I remember you, and you didn't have a gray hair then. So it's nice to be here and I see new faces and worshiping God together. It's one of the things that I think I like. And I was sharing with Greg. Now, one of the things that like I say, I don't kind of like to stand up and talk with people like that. But the other thing that happens to me is that toward the end, I'm filled, I'm charged to go back and do better. Even though sometimes I don't like to, but the Lord uses that to charge my batteries, if we could say it that way. The Spirit of God kind of charged me up again to go back and do better. So I'm looking for that. I'm always looking for God's guidance and protection and filling of His Spirit in my life, because there's a lot more that God wants us to do. But that could only happen if we follow and if we are obedient and filled with His Holy Spirit. And I want to read the scripture on John 17, just one verse, which says, now this is eternal life. We talk about eternal life. Well, what is it? What is eternal life? Well, the answer is right there, where Jesus says, that they may know you, the only God, the only true God. That they may know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. Praise God. My name is George Goff, and been working in the missions field for over 25 years now. And just as I started to feel good about it, the Lord are teaching me new things that I needed, that I'm lacking to do His work. But before we start into that, I wanted to apologize for probably I'm the only missionary that doesn't communicate much with you, and some churches are complaining, what's going on? Well, part of it is, I'm not a good learner when it comes to technology. Somebody was telling me that there's a program, it's called Dropbox or something like that, and kind of through the internet kind of told me what to do, and I tried to do it in my computer, and I looking for a box so I could drop some pictures, and I can't find the thing, and so I got so confused. But hopefully this week in Orange City somebody's going to show me how the box looks like so I could drop. And that way we could communicate. But see, the thing is, I'm not the only one, so I don't feel too bad about it. I feel bad that I'm not communicating as much as I would like to, and you may want to. But the Lord is going to teach me how to do it. But I don't feel too bad that I don't know much, because some of you might understand what I'm trying to say here. And so technology is coming to Honduras as well. Now we have mobile phones too, even where we're working, it has come in, and some people have a phone. And one of the things that I saw it was funny, because I had made an emergency flight. I brought a lady that was very sick to the hospital, and as I was going back to the hangar, to take care of the airplane, I saw a guy, with his phone on like that and talking loud and making all kind of, things with his arms and stuff. And I went close by just to kind of observe what he was saying. And he kept saying, "I told you it's behind the refrigerator." Like if he was yelling at thing and he was watching, "I told you." Now, you don't see those kind of things here because everybody's just, used to it and they don't make signs and stuff like that. But down where we are, it's a big transition to technology. So you got to understand where I'm coming from. When we started working in the mission field, the only thing we had there was radios, HF radios. And so we push the button and start talking, and then when you're done, you say over. So that means when you say over, that means that you're done talking. Now it's somebody else's turn to talk. So when they say over, then you start talking again. So I got used to that. So if someday you talk to me and you call me in the phone and I say over, please understand where I'm coming from because I'm still kind of going through the hump, okay? So forgive me for that, but we're learning. So praise God for His mercy and His patience for us to learn things. There are people that are 80 years old and are still learning from God, and that happens because His patience is great for us. But like I was saying, just as I was feeling good about it, 25 plus years in the mission field, feel good about it, big shot missionary, pilot, and wow. The Lord showed me this little book. It's called What Jesus Would Say. I don't know if you have read it, but I would encourage you to read it. And I'm going to read part of it because I can't express it as well as this guy, Lee Strobel, does. He used to be an atheist. But one day he met the Lord and he became a Christian and a pastor. He's pastoring a good-sized church today because of God's work in his life. And he shares in this book a lot of things that Jesus would say to many people like Rush Limbaugh, to Madonna, Bill Clinton, Michael Jordan, and so forth. And at the end, what Jesus would say to you too, and to me. So I want to kind of share with that in mind, I'm not, somebody asked me, "Are you going to be the speaker today?" And I said, "Well, I don't know how you call it. But I just want to share, I'm not a good speaker. I'm not bringing a message, so to speak. I just want to share with you what the Lord is dealing in my life today. You might be one of them with the same problems too. I don't know, but the Lord knows. And because I know that in God's boat, sometimes we're not any different. The only difference here is that you know English and I don't. I'm learning. And maybe just a little few different cultural things, but in God's eyes, we struggle the same, So, what can we learn? What can we learn from we're supposed to see Jesus in our life, and that's what we're trying to do here. We came to worship God and worship Jesus, right? But sometimes God puts in our ways, in our life, people like you and me, a little bit ahead of us so that we could learn from them as well. And I think there's a lot of things that we could learn from Mother Teresa. What are the qualities? What things did she have to make Mother Teresa be Mother Teresa? We know about her. We heard about her as well. But this Lee Strobel brings about some things in her life that it could be helpful to us as we serve the same God as Mother Teresa did. And I think one of the first qualities that Mother Teresa had was that he wasn't just a manufacturer kind of. Mother Teresa is not a manufacturer but a distributor. What does that mean to me in my life? In his book on being a servant of God, author Warren Wiersbe, I don't know if that's the correct, it could have been better if it was Vander something. It's easier to say it. But, forgive me, Warren offers a helpful distinction between a servant who are manufacturers and those who are distributors. You see, some people manufacture their compassion for the need out of whatever is motivating them. For instance, maybe they're feeling guilty over their own affluence. Perhaps they pity the poor and have a sense they should give some back to the world. Maybe they have neurotic drive to put the needs of others before their own in order to make them feel worthwhile. Whatever the source, they have to create the compassion, and sooner or later it's probably going to run out. However, Mother Teresa isn't primarily manufactured but a distributor. In other words, every morning she spends time connecting with God in prayer, meditating on the sacrifice He made on her behalf, drinking in His love from the Bible, and reminding herself of His grace. Then during the day, she merely acts as a conduit to channel that compassion to others. It's nice, isn't it? And I think in my life, I was lacking that. Because so many times I wanted to quit. So many times, and since I come to the States kind of often, I see how you guys live, and I want that. But I don't have it. So I better stay in the States and work and be one of you. So I wanted to quit so many times. But what the problem was that, I was lacking in that connection with God. That grace, that mercy that He had for me, we need to translate that to the world. And that's what made Mother Teresa be what she was and spend all of her life serving God. It's easy to serve God 1 week, a month or two, maybe a year or 2 or 3 years, but the whole life? You have to have something more than a good desire to serve God. In fact, the more she empties herself in serving others, the more room there is for God to fill her back. And of course, God's supply of compassion never runs dry. It keeps servanthood fresh for the long haul. When you know your primary role as a Christian isn't just to do a bunch of good deeds, but it's to stay connected with God and give away that love that He gives you. Connected with God. I think we lack that. I see so many Christians as I go and visit. They're just happy to come and warm the bench, and that's it. But there's no connection with God. In my own life, God had to take me to a place, it's called Venezuela. MF was leaving Honduras, and we had 6 airplanes there, and we needed to distribute those airplanes to different other MF stations, like in Ecuador, Venezuela, Mexico, Indonesia, and in the States. So I was the one that's supposed to take the one of the airplanes to Venezuela. And it was supposed to take a couple of days to get there. But because of bad weather in Panama, I ended up spending 4 nights. And in order to get the airplane fast enough, somebody from Venezuela had to come. And with him on board, I was able to take it to there. But little did I know that the Lord wanted to teach me something that I was lacking. And when I went to Venezuela, I spent the night there in his house, his wife and the kids, and they were just lovable family. And that evening, he told me that next afternoon, he had a little space in one of the radio stations, Christian radio station, about half an hour, and that he had a little a tape recorder, and he put it in front of me and says, "Do you want to say something?" And I said, "Not really," and he didn't push me. He just let it go. But that night, I didn't know that the Lord had to do something with me. How is it? How is it that I'm serving? How is it that you're serving me and you don't have anything to say about me? It's a tough question to answer. So that night, I hardly slept that night. And I asked for forgiveness for not having anything to tell you. See, we know about Christ. We accepted Christ, but we don't know Him. So what can we say? It's a different way of life when you know Him. So I asked God that I wanted to know Him. And ever since then, my life has changed to a point where I could talk with anybody, but sooner or later, from one conversation to another, Jesus creeps into our conversation. It's amazing how He does it. But see, there is that life that flows in you that wants to get out. It's a fountain of life that wants to go into the world and show that. It's the light that you can see. You can't just, in the dark, you can see there's a light, you will see it. But we have to have Christ in our life, and that's what Mother Teresa had. And that's what made her be the lady that she was. Mother Teresa likes to use the analogy of electricity. The wire is you and me, the current is God. She says, we have the power to let the current pass through us, use us, and produce the light of the world, which is Jesus. Awesome. She isn't serving herself, but she is serving God. One writer says, there's so much to gain personally from volunteering. You feel good. You see and learn things you otherwise wouldn't have. You test your ability. You often find yourself rubbing shoulders with pillars of the community who can help you business or career. Volunteering can be yet another path to upward mobility. That's what the world sees. That sounds like a repackaging of the meism of the 1980s, it says. Yet the Bible says in Philippians 2:3, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. The problem is that when your main goal is to feed your own satisfaction, you're always going to feel hungry for more. But with Mother Teresa, the satisfaction she receives is by byproduct of loving Jesus through her servanthood. He is the one who says that whatever she does for the least among us, she is doing for Him, and that motivates her. In fact, someone says to Mother Teresa, I wouldn't touch a leper for $1,000. Neither would I, she says, but I would willingly tend him for the love of God. What drives you to serve God? It's a good question. What drives me to serve God? She doesn't pity the people she serves, but she respects them. That's not easy to do when you're up there and somebody else is down here. It's not easy to pity somebody. Mother Teresa sees each person as being imprinted with God's image. And so every single individual has infinite value in her eyes. They are worthy of being treated with dignity and respect. Our poor are very great people, very lovable people, she likes to say. This mindset takes the needy individual out of the realm of being a case number or patient and opens the door to a real depth of community taking place between him and the servant. Christians discover great fulfillment in this kind of oneness. She isn't just willing to serve, but she is willing to sacrifice. Now, some of you have done that, I know. And whenever you serve, always there's a sacrificial thing that comes out too in your life. You sacrifice your time, your family, your money, and everything. Well, serving is not easy. But Mother Teresa's attitude, it hurt Jesus to love us. That's her attitude. It hurt Jesus to love us. And so she's willing to continue to serve others even when it costs her. She gives more than just out of her surplus, like the woman in Luke 21 who offered 2 small copper coins to the temple. Jesus praised her gift as being the greatest because while others gave out of their abundance, she gave all she had. Awesome. Her agenda isn't her own, but it's God's. We like to have our own agenda, but it's very hard to have somebody else's agenda. In our life with God, we have to be flexible because it's His agenda, not mine. It takes a lot of me, it takes a lot of you to go that much. Mother Teresa's agenda was God's. She doesn't just have ability, but she has a spiritual gift. Several gifts are listed in the Bible. Here's a definition of the spiritual gift of mercy. It's the divine enablement to minister cheerfully and appropriately to people who are suffering. That's Mother Teresa in a sentence. Awesome. Of course, not every Christian has this particular spiritual gift. For example, it is not in the mix that God has given to me. But all Christians are called to express compassion to those in need, and God will provide us with the grace we need to be able to do that. She doesn't rely on organization, but she relies radically in God. Sometimes we trust more in the organization than in God in our lives, but she didn't. She believed in God, and therefore God always showed up to help him. He says one time a co-worker called her from another facility asking for 50,000 rupees to start a children's home. Mother Teresa said she didn't have the money, but would pray about it. As soon as she hung up, the phone rang again. You have just won an award from the Philippines. A newspaper reported said. How much is it? She asked. $50,000. Rupees. She called back her colleagues and said, you have your orphanage. You can try to dismiss this event as coincidence, but that's hard to do when they happen time after time. That's the kind of adventure that comes with radical reliance on God. Awesome. She isn't concerned just about today, but her eyes are on eternity. Mother Teresa tells the story of an atheist who came one day to her home for the dying. A sickly man had been just brought in from the gutters, and some volunteers were bathing and caring for him, unaware that the atheist was watching. Later he said, I came here godless. That's what he said. I came here godless, and I came here full of hatred. I'm going full of God, and I have seen God's love in action. Somebody's watching, isn't it? Awesome. But I want to end with what Mother Teresa would tell me, because that's important. We're learning what Mother Teresa made what Mother Teresa was. But now, I wonder what he would say to us. And I think we're not going to go too far, because I think we would know what she would say to us. Jesus said in Luke 6:38, give and it will be given to you, a good measure pressed down, shaken together and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. He says we don't have to guess, because she's been asked that question many times before. Here's the response she has given. I know you think you should make a trip to Calcutta, but I strongly advise you to save your airfare and spend it on the poor and your own country. It's easy to love people far away. It is not always easy to love those who live right next to you or right next to us. There are thousands of people dying for a piece of bread, but there are thousands more dying for a bit of love or a bit of acknowledgement. The truth is that the worst disease today is not leprosy or tuberculosis. It is being unwanted. It is being left out. It's being forgotten. The greatest scourge is to be so suffocated with things that we forget the next person. She talks about coming to the affluent West and visiting a beautiful decorated nursing home, but finding all the residents sitting in a wheelchair facing the door. Why are all these people looking toward the door, she asked. Why aren't they smiling? I'm used to seeing smiles on all our people, even the dying ones. It's like this every day, the nurse replied. They're always hoping somebody will come and visit them. Their loneliness is eating them up. My guess is that Mother Teresa would ask us, who's staring at the door waiting for a person like you? Maybe it's somebody under your own roof, a son or daughter who's secretly aching to talk about things that are deep in their soul. Maybe it's an elder parent or grandparent who feels discarded, or the guy at work who's always the odd man, or the child who's shunned by fellow students, or the former friend whose calls you don't return anymore, or the single mom whose life is collapsing on her. Perhaps it's the neighbor who is steeping in despair, or the widow whose relational world has shrunk to nothing, or the immigrant who feels isolated and lonely in a confusing new culture, or the employee who is struggling with personal problems, or the person in your ministry who seems troubled by something. Do you know someone who's staring at the door waiting for a person like you? Even as I write, says the author, I do. I think Mother Teresa would say to all of us, go to them and practice. Practice being a distributor of God's compassion. Practice honoring them as a person engraved with the image of God. Practice meeting their needs. Practice encouraging them. Practice listening to them. Pretend you're doing it for Jesus, because in a very real sense, you are. I tell you the truth, said Jesus, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did it for me. I think all comes down to knowing God. All comes down to having that relationship that God is aching to have with you and me. He's happy when we come and worship Him together. But deep inside, He wants you alone with Him. He wants me to talk with Him, because He wants to give me what I need to serve Him better. And I think what I'm sharing this is from my heart, because God is dealing that with me. So let's try to know Him. Let's spend time with Him alone, not just here, but in your home, wherever you are. That's what is going to make the difference in your life and mine. Thank you so very much, and God bless you all.
Psalm 40 says, He put a new song in my mouth, a hymn of praise to my God. Many will see and put their trust in the Lord. That is what Jesus promised when He said, If I am lifted up, I will draw all me to me. We want to see all people come to Jesus, and that's why we lift Him up today and every day. Please stand and sing with us.
To see Jesus lifted high. We want to see, we want to see, we want to see Jesus lifted high. We want to see Jesus lifted high, a banner that flies across this land, that all men might see the truth and know He is the way. We want to see, we want to see, we want to see Jesus lifted high. We want to see, we want to see, we want to see Jesus lifted high. Step by step we're moving forward, little by little taking ground. Every prayer a powerful weapon, strongholds come tumbling down and down and down and down. We want to see Jesus lifted high, a banner that flies across this land, that all men might see the truth and know He is the way to heaven. We want to see, we want to see, we want to see Jesus lifted high. We want to see, we want to see, we want to see Jesus lifted high.
Well, thanks again, George, for coming and sharing with us this morning. And I'm supposed to give the benediction now, but I'm not a pastor, so I don't know what to say. But may God's grace go with you as you leave this place, and let the Spirit of the Lord guide you this week. Thank you.